If you have been reincarnated as a vending machine incapable of speech or motion, you may think you're toasted for good, right? That is until you realize that this vending machine possesses an OP level up system, with tons and tons of different abilities. Want to know how he defeats a gigantic monster with the cola-mentos trick? Come find out, because this is one story you shouldn't miss. It's a normal day for this young man, as he is excited to purchase a drink from the vending machine. That features a subscription-based service. Reflecting his passion for vending machines, the man finds enthusiasm in their advanced models, and hopes to buy as much as he can. He lays his eyes on the work of art before him, with an all-around, exhilarating variety of products. Confessing his sincerity, the man equates vending machines to treasure chests. Dude is mad simping for a vending machine. Haha. The pleasant moment becomes his downfall. A truck crashes right next to him, shocking the man in his place. Unable to comprehend the moment that he has become a part of it, the man is even more worried about the vending machine, which is at risk of breaking. Leaping forth with the purpose of saving his precious machine, the man found himself crushed under the machine's weight. In his final moments, he thought that his demise was befitting, and emphasized his love for his favorite piece of technology. I can't lie, that has to be the goofiest death scene ever. The dude sacrificed his life points for a vending machine, lol. However, things have clearly taken a different turn. The same man has found himself reincarnated into the vending machine in an impossible act. He feared for his life because of his immobile and mute state, with only being able to play pre-recorded voices from his body. This vending machine had a long day, comprehending his reflection mirrored in the lake. At first, he thought he was doomed for good, but then, the machine thought that it was instead a blessing. To have been born as a thing that he truly loved. Bro convinced the manga author to manifest him as his favorite machine. Damn. He accepts his new life, no longer a human, but as a machine of a different purpose. Worried about how to function, the vending machine thinks that he should believe in himself, to become one with himself. Suddenly, a unique screen lit up in front of him, and presented him with a variety of items listed for points. He quickly grasps that he has to spend points for the items, as well as alter his features as a machine. Like being a food cooker or a water dispenser. The currency will be equivalent to 100 yen per point. Experimenting with the functions, he first tries to switch the items in his inventory. He is amazed by the variety and realizes that the available items are all of the items that he purchased in his life as a human. The machine decides to add milk tea to the collection, successfully making the replacement. Feeling ecstatic over his new life, he anticipates his customers to come. However, 2 days pass, and this vending machine receives no visitors, not even a single customer. During his investigations the previous day, the machine noticed that he spent 1 point an hour instead of using electricity for sustenance. Knowing that his points are steadily declining, the machine faces trouble at the thought of being unable to sell anything. With only 900 points left, he thinks that he should be able to survive for a month. 3 more days zoom past, this time swallowing the machine with panic. Forget about humans, the machine hasn't even spotted any living thing nearby, questioning the kind of location that he has been placed in. Suddenly, he hears a peculiar voice. A sound resonates from a creature that doesn't seem to be a human, but rather a gigantic frog with a human-like build. The vending machine has never been approached by a monster of such kind before, and frets for what is to come. He questions the kind of country or even the planet that he has been reincarnated to. This is when the machine realizes that instead of Earth, he has been reborn in an entirely different world. With the existence of monsters in a fantasy world like this, he thinks that it's no shocking factor, as he's beyond a human at this point. Realizing that the perplexed frog is his first ever customer, the vending machine approaches him with a pre-recorded welcome. However, the welcome comes as a startling shock to the frog, who immediately bashes him with its weapon. In a state of panic, the vending machine uses an incorrect recording. He also receives a notification about his depleting health and realizes that he doesn't feel any pain, because a vending machine isn't supposed to feel any to begin with. Even though the frog proceeds to beat the living daylights out of him, the vending machine's durability stays tight, with the rest of his stats staying at 0. Durability represents health for him. The vending machine is most relieved to find out about the magic stat, realizing that there's still hope for him in this world, even as a metal box. Props to dude for wanting to kick some butt despite being a vending machine. Back to him getting his face blown to pieces, the vending machine questions how he could get out of his current pinch. The system also alarms him about the durability restoration function, allowing the machine to recover health by spending points. The toaster box thinks that he should tire out the frog with this ability. The frog seems to receive another friend with an axe, adding even further worry for the machine. Hastily making a decision, the Tin Man realizes that all of his extra features are useless beyond comparison. As he is preparing for the two monsters to rip him to shreds, a girl leaps from behind and begins her assault, only to collapse on the ground because of her starved state. The monsters don't know what to make of this, and decide to use the opportunity to finish her for good. Our good old scrap metal senses that she is in trouble, and finally discovers abilities far more powerful than his extra features. In fact, they're just the kind of broken cheat codes he needs, as the moment he activates the force field, the frog monsters are immediately repelled outwards, safeguarding them both. The force field allows for an impregnable defense that also allows only specific targets to phase through. The monsters try their best to tear down the force field with their vengeful attacks. Acknowledging his incredible new powers as a vending machine, he suddenly realizes that his points are being drained rapidly. The force field depletes his points as a trade-off. The vending machine only provokes the frogs even more with his recorded messages, which angers them enough to resume their assault. Tired and finally resigning from their hunt, the frog monsters decide to make their leave. Even though the day is saved by one heroic vending machine, his points are running at an all-time low, leaving him with only 346 to spend. Shortly after, the girl also regains her consciousness and questions the location of the monsters. She doesn't know how it happened or what became responsible for saving her. However, her body is loud and clear when demanding food. Reduced to a flood of tears, the girl notes that she is in bad shape with nothing to eat. Her teammates abandoned her and she dropped her bag unluckily, and now she can do nothing but wallow in her misery. The vending machine senses her frustrations and realizes that he is facing an actual human being for once. Thankfully, he can perfectly understand the human language even as a machine, and thinks that the girl will be the first customer in his reincarnated life. The happy-go-lucky machine welcomes the girl with an abrupt message. Startled, she turns to question the metal box before her. Although she has questions, the girl spots water inside and starts going crazy over the thought of getting a bottle. The machine instructs her to use coins to receive the appropriate item, once again startling the girl. Following his instructions, the girl tries to insert a copper coin, only to be left confused as nothing occurred. The vending machine displays an error message, explaining the mismatch in currency requirements. The girl feels shocked that the water bottle costs an entire silver coin, which would be able to afford her an entire meal. Whoa, fat floppy disk is a politician when it comes to his prices. Through her, the toaster box questions what went wrong, as he displayed his prices to 100 instead. The girl is impatient enough to register the coin, and slowly chooses her item. She is worried at first, wondering if the machine is going to devour her if she reaches for the bottle inside. After the first successful transaction, the girl is happy to receive corn soup. She breaks the seal and finds herself mesmerized by the savory scent. Our metal box strangely finds this satisfying. The girl relishes the taste, consequently making the machine happy to have a happy customer. Finding her corn soup already gone, the girl is overwhelmed by her curiosity and proceeds to buy a number of different items. After spending a total of 6,300 yen, the girl has basically 6 silver coins that have expired. The machine no longer wants to cheapen prices because it also needs the points. Well, at least he's not devoid of brain cells. Lamis introduced herself and thanked the fellow machine for the delicious food. She wonders if the machine is capable of speaking at all. The vending machine sulks at the thought of being unable to hold conversations and brainstorms a way to get his point across. Shockingly enough, Lamis is a clever individual who figures out the fact that he is limited to saying only a handful of words. Lamis claims that her childhood friend Hulami is a magic item researcher and tries to communicate with the vending machine by instructing him to issue a message. The vending machine acknowledges her astute observation and thinks that he has struck gold. The machine immediately issues a welcome message, which makes her gleam at the thought of the machine being conscious. She thinks they should use the welcoming message as yes and too bad as a way to communicate no. Lamis proceeds to question if the machine can say its name. Unfortunately, the response is a no, which makes her feel saddened by it. Her consideration comes as a shining quality to the machine, and he thinks that he got really lucky with his first customer. He also thinks about his life as a human, acknowledging how lonesome he felt. That night, the machine acknowledges that his first kind customer is destined to return to where she came from. He thinks that the road is only going to get even more lonely for someone like him at this point. However, he doesn't mind it as much, vowing to protect the girl before him with his force field, so that no monsters could disrupt her pleasant rest. The following morning, Lamis has fully recovered and becomes surprised that no monsters showed up at night. The vending machine reflects that they, in fact, did show up, but the force field made sure none bothered them. Lamis tells him that she has to return to the settlement as best she can, while she can do so. Even though she has a handful of money left, Lamis feels content with filling her stomach with delicious meals thanks to the vending machine. Turning away, she thanks the machine for his efforts as he readies himself to say goodbye. In his final message, the lonely tinker box wishes her to revisit him. This thing is definitely not surviving on his own. Lamis shows him a broad smile and waves goodbye, before sensing its sudden loneliness in the distance. Grasping its feeling, Lamis questions if the vending machine would be good with coming along with her. The vending machine is shocked by this invitation. Lamis explains that the friend she previously talked about could bring about his powers and help the machine in some way, which is why she invited him. Filled with ecstatic joy, the machine wholeheartedly accepted her offer. Lamis is also happy that he accepted. A problem persists in the fact that the vending machine is also incapable of movement. He tries to search through his skill list and doesn't want to bother Lamis to carry him. However, Lamis proceeds to do exactly that, as she grabs him from the side and begins to pull him with all her strength. The vending machine is shocked when she manages to pull him out of the ground. Lamis considers the metal box to be heavy, but not impossible to carry around. She also reveals boasting a blessing of might, meaning she has much more strength than the other humans. Lamis accurately showcases her abilities by tossing him in the air and easily putting the machine on her back. The scrub metal toaster box over here is going crazy, comprehending the little girl's strength and realizing why she's a hunter. She has some Toji level strength in this universe, no cap. Lamis frowns at the thought that despite her incredible strength, she's not precise and misses her attacks like the one from before. Beginning their journey, Lamis questions if the machine is content with being moved around, acknowledging his lonely state at the lakeside. The vending machine answers affirmatively and reflects that he doesn't have special missions to fulfill and would only result in a complete shutdown if he stayed at the lakeside. Even though his stay at the lakeside was temporary, the vending machine couldn't help but acknowledge the wonderful scenery and the only view that he had ever seen since he came into the world. In fact, he winces at the thought of bidding goodbye to the place. Even more than his sadness, he feels excited and enthralled to welcome the world that Lamis is going to show him. And so begins the journey of the one reincarnated as a vending machine. Lamis pushes for a break after traveling for a while. She also opts to buy the creamy yellow soup, which she has grown fond of, even though it's not something the machine recommends because it doesn't fill her belly. The vending machine threw in a gift and added potato chips for her sake. When Lamis took a bite out of the chip, she felt the jam-packed flavor of the salty chip and immediately fell in love. The vending machine felt satisfied seeing her reaction and thought that it was only natural, as potato chips were a favorite of his own. As for his points, the sales have added 60 points to his side, and even though they may be taxing Lamis' wallet, they are necessary for his survival. Returning to town, Lamis is welcomed by her people, Karios and Gorth, who celebrate her return. They are also surprised by the giant metal box she has decided to bring along. Lamis simply explains that it gives you food in exchange for money. The two warriors are perplexed by the explanation and share a reaction similar to Lamis's when she is startled by the voice. They suggest she sell the machine, but Lamis strongly objects to the idea and claims that she wants it to meet Hulami, her researcher friend. The vending machine, on the other hand, is unsure if he wants to meet the crazy scientist at all. Lamis offers the two to buy something from the machine, and they are obliged to experience it, even though the cost of a silver coin seems high. The vending machine decides to delight the muscle-headed fools and thinks that he should add something more filling than potato chips. Suddenly, a new object is added to the list, which, although it comes at the cost of 3 silver coins, convinces the baldhead to purchase out of temptation. He gets his hand on the canned Odin at last, questioning how he is supposed to even open the can. After getting the delicacy in his mouth, the man is left with an experience that he will never forget. He describes the flavor as something complex and rich in nature, which only makes his friend decide to purchase the item. The vending machine is finding this a great experience, having satisfied the customers. The guards are so mesmerized by the machine that they want Lamis to leave the machine at the gate. Lamis disagrees with the notion, so they plead with her to bring him around every once in a while, and in exchange, They will spread the word about its powers. Lamis finds it a great idea, and the vending machine voices agreement. Returning to the heart of the lake settlement, Lamis explains that they're currently inside a dungeon called the Clear Flow Lake. The settlement is a means to explore the place. The vending machine is caught off guard by her casually admitting that they're in a dungeon, and thinking that this world has truly lost it. Lamis further explains that a population of 100 people reside in the settlement, and the ones who mostly stick around are the merchants who sell to the hunters. Lamis is suddenly approached by Manami, who is glad to see her alive, instead of being turned into a corpse. Manami races back to tell her mother about the happy news. Manami's mother, or the innkeeper, welcomes the girl home even though they receive the news that Lamis has already died, thanks to the rest of the hunters abandoning her. Manami did a good enough job of spreading rumors and making them flee the place. Lamis finally questions the metal box she's got hanging around with her. Lamis explains that this metal box saved her life and is a magic item capable of providing food in exchange for silver coins. Both Manami and her mother are impressed by this revelation. When Manami raises the question of whether the poor girl even has money, Lamis resigns in defeat, having spent every last penny on the machine. The vending machine sobs, thinking that he may have caused her demise. The innkeeper isn't bothered and offers Lamis the chance to work for the stay, while also suggesting she leave the machine outside, so that others can purchase various items from it. Lamis and the machine find it an excellent idea, and thank the kind innkeeper. Manami and her mother are quick to notice that the metal box isn't adept at communicating and talks nonsense. Lamis is offended seeing them call him a box and decides to suggest the name Boxo instead. The vending machine isn't pleased with the name at all initially, but it decides to agree to it because of the girl's honest smile. Boxo, the vending machine, has officially claimed his place in this world as a resident of the settlement. Boxo is the best character. Let's go. After the passing of a week, Boxo has adjusted to the living environment and is greeted by Lamis, who does her best to take care of him every single day. In return, Boxo rewards her with a bottle of sports drink for her kindness. Thanking Boxo with a sweet smile, Lamis tends to her duties, while Boxo himself reflects how he has regular customers coming to the fray. Two of the customers are an elderly pair, while another is a boy who is the heir of the item shop and has affection for Manami. There is also Karios and the rest of his guards who preserve the order of the settlement. They eagerly come to enjoy themselves at night and have since become Boxo's #1 customers. In the afternoon, Boxo is greeted by a group of hunters who are interested in going off on their exploration missions. This group emphasizes bringing enough water and cans of cooked food. His teammates are confused about operating the machine at first. Boxo internalizes that he is capable of making the waste disappear, and his items are popular with the hunters on their missions. He knows that black tea is popular with specifically female hunters, and even though he also sells coffee, the beverage doesn't receive many customers. Damn, tough love for us coffee lovers, come on. Throughout the day, Boxo ensures that the cans are cleared from his inventory, because they can disrupt the inn's business. Suddenly, Boxo receives Suori, the granddaughter of a big merchant. Boxo particularly doesn't have the best of experiences with Suori, as all she does is torture him with various gimmicks. However, Suori boasts a sad expression on her face, which makes Boxo wonder if she is being scolded. Suori stands before the machine, while Boxo thinks that he should be considerate and do something for the girl's sake. He offers her a can of oranges for free. Suori is pleasantly surprised and becomes happy, thanking the machine. Boxo finds her expression cute and thinks that she will be a returning customer. Meanwhile, Lamis collects Boxo and takes him to the gate around the evening to sell to the guards who are eagerly waiting for him. Karios and Gorth pleasantly expect him and welcome the machine as always. The guards are quick to run him the recent news about all the monster attacks, which he appreciates, but also thinks it's useless for him to hear about. Karios becomes thirsty, but Gorth is already the first to order sweet tea. Boxo thinks that the two guards must have good enough income to buy from him. Lamis comes to collect Boxo after clearing her work. She also shows them some new gear that she exclusively brought for the machine, allowing her to carry Boxo with greater consistency. Returning to the inn, she tells him about the story of the energetic customer at the inn. Boxo also tells her that he had fun throughout the day. Lamis suggests that they save money so that they can see Hulami, allowing Boxo to communicate more with her help. Boxo feels greatly indebted to the girl, who has made it possible for him to do so much more. Their meeting is brought to a sudden stop when a literal talking bear greets Lamis on her return, leaving Boxo plucking for answers. The following day, the hunters set out on an exploration mission. A girl greets Lamis and remembers her as the inn girl, questioning why she is even here. Lamis remembers that this is the girl who eats a lot and shares that she's actually a hunter instead of being an inn girl. The girl shares how it was strange seeing Lamis always carrying the large metal box. She also claims that they are attacking a frog fiend base. Boxo reflects that these people aren't to be considered hunters in the general sense. Instead, they're just the figment of every fantasy world story. They're the famed adventurers who take requests from guilds, hunt down monsters, gather materials, and explore dungeons for treasures. Continuing their confrontation with the bear from where they left off, Boxo recalls how they accepted the mission 3 days prior. While Boxo was at a loss for words, Lamis shared no surprise and greeted the director, which spiraled Boxo even more. The director explained that he wanted to request the sentient magic machine, claiming that he had been interested in raiding a frog fiend nest, and he needed their help with the machine. Lamis obviously told him that Boxo isn't capable of actually boxing. The bear director Sherlock Holmes wannabe stated that he wants the machine for food supplies and preparations as they are necessary in battle. He also pitches in a reward on top of the machine's collaboration. Lamis turns to Boxo and wonders if he is going to accept the request. The vending machine showed absolutely no hesitation and accepted. The day of the hunt eventually came. Boxo reflects that he sparked a good business deal with the director of the Hunters Association and thinks that it is the perfect chance for him to raise awareness about his own existence and cultivate even more customers. Taking a breath, Lamis is surprised that Boxo is happy and claims that she is getting exceptionally nervous about her mission. Boxo internalizes being content with Lamis and thinks that he can always protect the girl with his force field if absolutely necessary. A hunter tells her not to worry so much, as she will be on the transport team necessary for patching the other hunters, and they will also provide her protection. Lamis is in debt and thanks the hunter for guarding them. The hunter lays his eyes on the sentient box and introduces himself as Kirioil to the Tinker box. Lamis also introduces Boxo on his behalf. Kirioil doesn't seem to be a pleasant individual with the way that he talks, which causes concern for Boxo. Lamis immediately grasped onto the man's thought and deduced that Kirioil wanted the machine for himself. Kirioil is struck by her sharp deduction and thinks that she is capable of seeing through others with ease. Lamis smiles on her face and states that Kirioil won't get the chance to have Boxo because the machine happens to be her friend. Mr. Vending Machine over here is about to get abducted and resold on Amazon. Lol. Kirioil shares his regret for not having a miraculous object like Boxo. He becomes interested in buying something to make amends and goes for lemon tea as a first. Kirioil is pleasantly struck with wonder, amazed by the taste, and questions how the machine is even capable of restocking the items. Lamis explains that she never restocked the machine herself, which intrigues Kirioil even further. His gaze turns to his right, and suddenly Kirioil shouts at the one hiding and eavesdropping on their conversation. In response, he is met with a fiery attack that bashes him. Filminer reminds him that he was the one being loud. Boxo has just witnessed magic for the first time and is charmed by the feat. I mean, dude, look at yourself, you're an overpowered god as a vending machine. Filmina also shares her confusion and perplexity about understanding the complex machine before them, claiming that she doesn't sense an ounce of mana from the machine. Boxo is relieved and thinks that he is just a casual vending machine after all. Kirioil shares that the machine has to be using some support of a transfer system from a different dimension to restock supplies, while Filmina states that peculiar blessings don't exude mana, but she also doesn't believe a piece of metal should be able to have a blessing to begin with. Haha, who's gonna tell her? Boxo posits that it is strange for a vending machine to have a blessing, but it's not something he was previously unaware of. He thinks that he should selectively use his force field in that regard. Kirioil describes the machine as something completely out of this world and thinks that it is good enough that he is capable of helping them out. Boxo responds with a thank you, even though he is mildly suspicious of Kirioil's intentions and wants to watch out for Lamis' sake. The scene switches to the adventurers taking a break, where they indulge in ecstatic cup noodles. Shui and Lamis are enjoying the various options with the rest of the adventurers, who are invested in downing the meals. Boxo finds this a pleasant turnaround, and has also spent 1,000 points on the hot water dispensing feature paired with 4 different kinds of cup noodles. This alone has increased his sales and has allowed him to taste victory once more. In fact, the arrogant little toaster box feels sorry for the ones who packed their own food, since he is way better. Boxo has also set the price at 2 silver coins and thinks that it is enough for the time being. He feels at peace with the rest of the hunters who are fighting ahead on the battlefield. While they are busy, Boxo investigates his stats and discovers that he has built an impressive inventory for himself. When he checks the features, Boxo finds that he is capable of choosing colors and designs, along with buttons. However, the electronic sign and the design changes come at a hefty price for him. Instead, he locates the amazing feature of omnidirectional vision, taking care of his worries every time Lamis carries him. Boxo chooses to purchase the feature for 1,000 points, even though it isn't the cheapest. He is enthralled by the beauty of seeing all that is around him, even though it makes him dizzy at first. The hunter group makes a stop for the night, while the director instructs them to pitch their camps. He also takes a moment to communicate with Lamis. He claims that tomorrow marks the day they march into the settlement of the frog monsters, which also leaves them to question whether Boxo and Lamis will choose to stay behind or partake in the battlefield. The director emphasizes that if they do come along, they will have to witness combat even at the rear while staying in one place, which would also put them at risk as the monsters would find them. The director explains that they won't be facing safety in either case, but Lamis is quick on the uptake and declares that they will be coming along as hunters. She also apologizes for not asking for his permission, but Boxo doesn't seem to mind either. Boxo thinks that he won't be able to feel pain and can always heal himself with points. The vending machine desires to get a stronger blessing for the mission, but he has no points to spend on. Even the cheapest blessing costs a whopping 1,000,000 points, which is absurd. Lamis tells the chairman about their decision, and he informs Lamis that her strength will serve her well as a hunter, despite the girl's flailing confidence in her powers. Lamis vows to do her very best along with Boxo, who is pumped up and thinks that he should protect his first friend and customer with his force field. Boxo thinks that he will always be able to protect her, even at the cost of spending points for her sake. The following morning, the director issues the command to hunt down the enemy base and win the day. His motivated group roars in confidence and begins their assault. They are faced against the agile frog fiends, who are getting obliterated by the hunters. Lamis, on the other hand, wishes to give it her all with Boxo, who is confident in her strength. Boxo wants to protect her as much as he can. With incredible speed, Lamis disappears with a strike so powerful that it obliterates everything in her path. She becomes Saitama's cousin and annihilates the frog with a single hit. Boxo, on the other hand, is left completely shocked by her powers and thinks that his weight adds well to her thunderous speed, balancing out her abilities and allowing her to land a precise blow. Kirioil is also impressed by Lamis' abilities and decides to rev up his own style. He and his team begin their assault on the frog fiends, impressively defeating them with ease. Philomena is shown to be using her water-piercing magic, showing off more of her skills as a mage. Overall, Boxo is dazzled by its powers and thinks that the mission is proceeding smoothly. However, their worries only compile when even more frog fiends begin to appear. Their hordes pose trouble to the group as they are fixated on the rear. The frog fiends surround them from all directions and begin their retaliation strike. Kirioil orders his group to defend the allies instead of the cart, as lives matter much more in their mission. Even with that goal in mind, the team faces much difficulty defending themselves from the monsters. Thankfully, Lamis is there to smash the frog fiends with her powerful blows when needed. She tells them that she will take care of the ones that penetrate their defenses. While Lamis is faced with another frog fiend, Boxo is left to wonder if she can truly handle them all. When a frog monster drives his axe and suddenly attacks Boxo from behind, the vending machine realizes that she is incapable of fending off multiple foes at once. He doesn't want to waste points on the force field and thinks that he will be able to take a lot more hits. However, Lamis isn't used to the machine's demise and apologizes for being careless and letting him get hurt. Boxo can't communicate his thoughts and thinks that it is annoying for him to be unable to reach out to her. Lamis begins to slow down in her abilities, which makes Boxo wonder if she is focusing on safeguarding Boxo instead. He now thinks that he shouldn't have taken the hit, as Lamis has gotten herself too surrounded. When the frog monsters are about to jump on her, the archer diverts their attention and is instead about to meet his demise. In this moment, Lamis quickly jumps ahead and tries to protect the hunter by taking the blow, reminding the machine of how he lost his human life. In a state of necessity, Boxo deploys his force field at last. Lamis is about to meet her end when the frogs suddenly get the taste of repulsion and crash into the ground. Lamis and her friend are both confused by this encounter, while Boxo finds himself embarrassed that a girl is protecting a vending machine like him. The adventurer questions if Lamis used another one of her powers, but the girl shakes her head in denial. Suddenly, the vending machine calls out to them in confirmation. Lamis finds herself entirely amazed, while Boxo wishes for her to be like this forever. Lamis assigns Boxo the trouble of defense in case things get problematic for her. She also receives a number of directions from Boxo, alerting her of enemies attacking her from an opening. Thanks to his warnings, Lamis obliterates the frog fiends with her strength and is quick to pick up on his communication. Another frog fiend gets bashed to nothingness. Lamis' fists become responsible for destroying the frog fiends in combat, to the point that she doesn't even receive a single hit. Lamis also reveals that she had a master who trained her in the art of combat, sharpening her movements to an incredible level. Kirioil thinks highly of her strength and thinks that she is a force to be reckoned with. Lamis is overwhelmed by the praise and thinks that she isn't deserving of all the attention. Suddenly, Boxo covers them with a force field because Lamis misinterpreted one of his responses. Boxo wants Lamis to focus on the battle ahead and realizes that she isn't used to receiving compliments. Kirioil, on the other hand, questions the nature of the force field and wonders if it is some kind of blessing. Boxo is intimidated by the question and thinks that they might be in trouble if he reveals the secret. However, Lamis carelessly reveals that it is indeed Boxo's strength. Kirioil gives the vending machine a creepy look, hoping to get along in the future. Boxo gets even more scared and thinks that he's about to get stolen really fast. I mean, technically, he's like the most valuable product on the planet. Who wouldn't steal him? Kirioil instructs his group to cut out the tongues of the defeated frog fiends as a confirmation of their mission. His minimum wage group finds itself bothered by the task and roasts their chief. Philomena questions Kirioil's initiative from beyond this beyond. Philomena reminds him that their mission is to transport the food and protect the girl along with the machine. Philomena turns to question if Lamis is fine with approaching the front lines. Lamis voices her approval and thinks that she should help the front lines who are having trouble. Boxo also agreed and knew that Lamis would say such a thing. Over to the front lines, the director, along with the rest of the hunters, are destroying the frog fiends. Lamis and the others help the ones injured in battle in the remains of defeated corpses. The director is impressed by Kirioil's services and voices his contentment. The director also shares that the frog settlement came to be about twice their expectations, and they were furiously motivated to fight, without showing any interest in backing off. The director thinks that there is one possibility for their motivated state, a speculation that he believes to be true. Lamis and Boxo are both left wondering what they mean. It is suspected that the King Frog Fiend has made its appearance, a monster that already seems to terrify Boxo. The King Frog Fiends lead the charge with their troops, and in order to take the monster down, only the most talented members of Kirioil's gang left for the mission. Lamis and Boxo were left to themselves, with the same team that stayed behind. Lamis sets him down and calls out to the rest to revitalize themselves. The adventurers waste no time enjoying delicious meals. Boxo receives a lot of uncomfortable stares, so he decides to sock some booze to earn a profit. He had already tested some of it on Lamis, who couldn't even open it right, and had a carbonated drink explode on her face. One of the members calls for help in aiding an injured person, and Lamis follows suit and tells Boxo that she is going away for a while. Once separated from the machine, an ugly midget adventurer thinks that it is his moment to act. The guy poses as if he is supposed to be buying something when, in reality, he's got a wire on him. Boxo thinks that this guy is interested in stealing his hard-earned money and proceeds to start a whim with the loud recording, drawing attention from the rest of the adventurers. The man gets annoyed and whams the vending machine, claiming that the stupid pile of junk should just give him the money at once. He also kicks the machine to prove his point, while Boxo wonders if the guy underestimates the durability of the machine, just because he lacks limbs. He decides to offer him a special treat. The man thinks that the machine has given up and reaches for the prize. However, that is exactly what Boxo intended, as the guy burned his hand trying to grab the volcanic can of corn soup, with maximum heating applied. His hand burns with intensity, and he takes out his blade to attack the machine. Boxo knows that his force field can fend off the attack, but he doesn't want to use it meaninglessly. He willingly takes on the attack, only for it to stop at the final moment. Lamis, who is in the mood to kill the man, questions what the adventurer is doing while trying to attack the machine. The adventurer tries to make excuses while Lamis tears him down. Lamis communicates with Boxo and finds out that this guy is straight up capping. She trusts the vending machine completely. A bearded adventurer comes to inform them that Gugoyle is someone famous for being shady, which further annoys Lamis, who's tempted to beat the crap out of the guy. She packs him up and sends the goon away, worried about Boxo. Just as they are talking about cleaning up Boxo, a gigantic king frog fiend invades and begins to assault their base. The rest of the adventurers question what happened to the hunting party, as the king frog fiend isn't even supposed to be here. Level 100 monster attacking level 10 heroes, damn. The monster wreaks havoc, enveloped in flames with its blessing. Kirioil thinks that it's worse than the monster getting close to their base, and they can't even approach it. Philomena tells him that the frog fiend poses too much of a challenge for the adventurers. Before Kirioil is about to issue an order to retreat, the chairman roars the message at once, calling the adventurers for an immediate retreat. With the message of running for one's life, Lamis and Boxo are faced with the looming threat. Philomena tries her best to quench the monster's flames, but it proves to be of no use. She thinks that they would have to deploy robust means of fighting in order to stand a chance against such a beast. The monster proves to be formidable in its defense, as the fires make it harder to aim. Kirioil thinks that the flames are trouble and wonders if they can possibly repel the beast's enraged state. With the hunter party cooperatively fending the beast, Boxo and Lamis are stuck wondering if they should get out of the place. The carriage member faces difficulty moving the boar. Boxo declares that they should help them at once. Boxo intends to use the force field for the cause. Lamis comes over to free the boar and proceeds to pull the cart with all her might. She exhausts all her strength, trying to move the cart away from the sight of the monster. However, their pace is incredibly slow, not enough to outrun the monster. Even though Boxo is aware that he can save Lamis with the force field, he thinks that it would be impossible to save the wounded. Boxo knows that the skilled hunters failed to take down the king frog fiend, and thinks that they can't defeat the monster with the wounded men. His only option is to slow down the beast, and he wonders if there is anything for him to use. Finally, Boxo remembers the carbonated drink accident, and thinks that he can buy some time pairing with an ability, especially when he has 6,000 points at his disposal. The attack of the king frog fiend continues to be troublesome for the adventurers. Boxo reflects that the skilled members would have to hold off the monster for him to execute his plan. He adds a new function and form to his design, spending 1,000 points to allow for 2-liter bottles. After filling the entirety of the inventory with 2-liter bottles of cola, Lamis was informed that Boxo had just changed the form. She realizes that Boxo has some kind of plan, and wonders what is inside the bottles. The vending machine then proceeds to use a transformation ability and becomes a candy machine. With both materials acquired, the final task is communication. Boxo wants to instruct Lamis exactly about what she should be doing. He issues the command of inserting coins, even though she has already purchased the items. Boxo continuously hammers the same command, adding to her confusion. Boxo is annoyed that he can't communicate properly, and hopes for Lamis to interpret him in some way. Lamis acknowledges that Boxo is doing the best he can to come up with the plan. She breaks down his instructions and connects the dots. Gugoyle spouts that he isn't interested in dying with the rest, which is something he shouldn't have said, because he receives the Mentos cola treatment. With his mouth chugging down cola with Mentos, the man expels a fountain of cola as a result, which is just enough for Lamis to comprehend what Boxo intended. Bro got violated just for them to prove a point, lol. Boxo knows this phenomenon, thanks to his life as a human surfing the internet. Putting a type of candy into the carbonated drink allows for a geyser eruption. Armed with candy and cola, Lamis thinks that she can conquer the universe and understands Boxo's instructions. No, the strategy can probably bring down Thanos. Who needs the Avengers when you have the vending machine? Meanwhile, the King Frog Fiend rages through and destroys their defenses, causing trouble for Kirioil's team. What's worse is that Lamis and her cart haven't managed to get away from the site. The frog monster eventually arrives to tear down the cart, where Lamis is prepared for the monster. She tells the team to get ready with their weaponry and decides to launch their counterattack at once. Lamis and her crew begin to insert candy inside each of the bottles before aiming down the monster with their outrageous attack. The initial attack doesn't prove to be effective as the monster reaches to destroy them. Thankfully, Philomena exhausts herself to use the best of her magic abilities and pairs a barrage of watery strikes against the pyro beast. With its fiery shield temporarily shut down, Lamis thinks that they have created an opening to exploit, and instruct her team to aim at the monster's eyes. With the rest of them spraying down cola at the monster, the frog fiend finds itself the most vulnerable and begins to collapse. Its fire gets weaker and weaker, allowing for Kirioil and his hunter squad to resume battle. Lamis swiftly reaches for an exit of their own and uses her might to push the cart. Kirioil's men attack the beast with violent blows, causing a great deal of damage. The finishing blow is eventually struck by the director with his vicious claws, allowing for a gruesome finish. The monster topples to the ground at last, slayed by the collective efforts of the adventurers that came together. The party celebrates their victory, having defeated the King Frog with their might. Even though the achievement was great, it came at a high cost. Boxo had to use 20-40 points to supply the valuables, and thinks that they could have come up with something better. However, he doesn't have any complaints about Lami's reaction. The rest of the adventurers begin to realize that the vending machine gave them access to the tools. The president comes to thank them and apologizes for exposing them to danger on his behalf. Lamis denies the apology and thinks that she should apologize instead of being reckless. The best part is that they received no casualties in this mission, while also subjugating a king frog fiend as well as its underlings. The director declares their return and reminds them to stay on their guard. Eventually, they marched back home, victorious from their mission. Thanks to his customers, Boxo also received the highest sales in one day. After spending another night in the forest, Boxo thought he was mentally exhausted and wanted Lamis to clean his body when they returned. However, when they did return home, Lamis witnessed the horror, realizing that their settlement had been attacked in their absence. The adventurers roar in confusion, questioning what happened to their village. The director realizes that they have more things to tend to, even after the tiring mission. Boxo also wants to check up on the people, but he can do nothing more than stay in one place. Lamis begins to tear up, concerned about the state of Monami and her mother. Even though her worries are important, Boxo instructs her to keep on moving. Lamis is struck with wonder, questioning how he was able to deliver such a short message. The vending machine plays a number of recordings. Boxo internalizes that he has been getting creative with conveying his speech. Since the recordings are limited, he could combine the words and play a certain recording, up to a certain point. Lamis chooses to move on with his advice, while Boxo tries to adjust to his new style of speech. The two head deeper into the village. Boxo remarks that he hasn't seen a single person, even though the village is supposedly destroyed. Lamis arrives before the destroyed inn and questions Monami and her mother's state. Boxo thinks that she is getting a little too hasty and tries to calm her down. Lamis thinks that if the two aren't responding, it only implies that they escaped elsewhere. She assumes that they're hiding in the Hunters Association. At the Hunters Association, the guards have already taken down the gigantic serpent before them. Kairos wonders what made for such an invasion, while Lamis comes to greet them and wonders if the others are safe. Kairos emphasizes that the villagers are all safe and sound, allowing her to be relieved. Kairos explains that the villagers know where to go in a state of emergency. They've got a teleportation circle that allows for the cause. The base is sturdy and doesn't show any signs of decay anytime soon. Monami greets Lamis and her mother as well. Boxo is relieved that the rest of the villagers are safe and sound, not wanting anyone to experience death like he did. Kairos and the other villagers are immediately hungry and find it pleasant to have Boxo around. They all order different meals for celebrations, and Boxo offers them a free meal for the rest of the night. The people throw a party and enjoy heaps and heaps of food. Boxo uses this opportunity to even unlock the alcohol, and hopes to start saving his inventory tomorrow. Lamis is excessively drunk and mentions how happy she is to find everyone alive. She is also glad that all of them have come to rely on Boxo, making him an essential part of the settlement. That is the reason Lamis is all giddy. She shares the thought and sleeps. Boxo once again finds her a considerate person, and thinks that he would have fallen in love with her back in Japan. Under the starry night sky, the vending machine wishes his companion a good night's sleep. The following day, the villagers show interest in rebuilding the village. Boxo explains that their houses have been shattered as well, and they have to come up for them. The materials they gathered by slaying the double-headed snake and the demon frog helped them acquire a ton of money, which would be spent on renovations. Lamis also took a request from the director to free them of the debris. She used her strength and helped them around. Kiriel thanks the two and impresses the rest of the villagers with his appearance, which surprises Boxo, who doesn't know that the captain is so popular. Kiriel offers the hard workers a reward for their hard-earned work. Even though he told them he would pay for their meals, he certainly didn't expect people to start ordering in the hundreds. Kiriel begged Boxo to limit each person to 2 items per person, since everyone was ripping him off. Man reconsidered his life choices with that offer, hahaha. He formally invites Lamis onto their team, even allowing the Tinker Box to join. However, Lamis instantly shuts down his invitation, surprising the lot and Kiriel, who is shocked that she didn't even bother considering it. When Manami asks Lamis about her decision to turn down the captain, Lamis explains that they're currently rebuilding the village, and she wants to help them out. Boxo thinks that she might have been in danger if she joined the hunters team, which is why she should use her strength to protect the village area instead. Suori, the spoiled brat from before, comes to buy the vending machine for herself. Lamis emphasizes that she isn't interested in exchanging the box for money, as it is more than just an object. Suori grapples with Lamis and states that she acts too possessive of the object. Hearing their argument, 2 people from the Merchant Association made their appearance. Gagai and Akoi are interested in checking the box, as they have received information about the shortage of money in the settlement. Lamis claims that it has been spent in the vending machine, which adds worry to Boxo, who realizes that they have amassed economic troubles because of him. Akoi claims that this is a good opportunity and asks if the vending machine is capable of exchanging silver coins for gold ones. Boxo internalizes that these guys are here for business and that he doesn't really mind exchanging, except he doesn't have exchange functions to begin with. He sadly declines, but Lamis thinks that there is one way, which is to make a purchase with the gold coin and receive change. Gagai gets to the task and inserts a coin inside, filling Boxo with an amazing feeling. Suddenly, change rushes out of the machine in the form of silver coins. Akoi and Gagai do their business and hope to buy more from the vending machine in the future. Saying this, they begin to leave. Lamis, on the other hand, thinks that it's troublesome for Boxo to have gold coins, as robbers are going to try and hunt him down. Boxo also thinks the same and wonders if he should adopt countermeasures in place. Oh, hell nah, he is definitely getting abducted. That night, a bunch of robbers show up to steal the vending machine, only to become surprised that it is nowhere to be found. They decide to check up on the houses. After they leave, the vending machine reveals its location, amazed by its newly acquired color change skill to hide in plain sight. Who needs the Justice League when Boxo has every ability for every situation? He's a god. However, a woman has taken note of its ability and comes to talk to the machine at the late hour. She introduces herself as Charlie and has heard the rumors that the box will be able to sell anything. Boxo corrects in his head, recalling how he can only sell what he has bought in his previous life, except he has no means to communicate his point. Charlie explains that many people are dying to come to the village because news of the defeat of the double-head snake with 0 casualties has spread like wildfire. Charlie knows that those people are just going to cause immense problems with hygiene and the spread of disease. Charlie is aware that her request is impossible, but she wonders if the machine has any solutions to such a problem. Boxo thinks about how one could counter disease and thinks that he should show her item solutions. Charlie realizes that she has to buy the object and proceeds to complete the purchase. She hopes to buy more of the product and wonders if he has more in mind. A week has passed since the village's reconstruction. The process goes smoothly as people join. Lamis is excited about the shared bath, as she loves taking baths despite the cost. Skipping past the scenes of her plots, the vending machine overhears the conversation about Lamis being interested in someone. Charlie bid them farewell, while Lamis recommended that he sleep in her house. She also teases him about how they could have slept together if he was a human. Toaster Box over here gets a little too excited and responds without thinking. Lamis proceeds to tease him all the way because of the response. The following day, our boy gets kidnapped by the robbers. Yup, called it. The robbers acted like they were being sent on behalf of the director and kidnapped him right off. Arriving in an awful location, Boxo is quick to realize that he has been tricked and stolen to an unknown location. The goons return to their boss, having successfully obtained the magic item. Their boss looks like your generic villain. Boxo speculates that they're after the goods inside of him, and wonders if their interest lies in taking him apart. He doesn't find his chances great, knowing that he can't move on his own. Using his handy security camera, Boxo snaps a few shots of the men for later. Bro is gonna report them to the FBI or something, lol. The leader of the robbers commands the machine to spill out the items. However, when Boxo declines and doesn't oblige, his underlings go on to bash him with a series of blows that chip his health bar. Boxo isn't too concerned and thinks that he can always use a force field if necessary. He doesn't care much, having stacked 10,000 points and consistently using a force field for an hour would only spend 6,000 points at the max. That's when Boxo begins to realize that he's kind of overpowered for being a vending machine. Yeah, you wonder who can beat Goku. This vending machine can beat Goku, which is a fact. Boxo reflects that his instant recovery is capable of immediate regeneration. He regrets not having more endurance so that he could become indestructible. The system suggests he spends 1,000 points to boost his toughness stats. This strikes as wondrous for the machine, who didn't know that it could use points to increase its stats. Acknowledging the fact that 1,000 points cost a lot, Boxo makes the purchase a worthy investment. When he receives another hit, Boxo receives 0 damage. Even with dozens of strikes, he doesn't feel his health fading at all. The leader of the robbers tells his men to stop, as they don't want to ruin the object. Baha, they actually think he is getting hurt. That's cute. He is shocked that Boxo isn't recovering on his own, while Boxo himself is surprised that they even know about his recovery function. Enraged, the leader turns to the Gyugoyle and questions the complications. Boxo realizes that Gyugoyle is the leech in the operation who told them about his powers. The leader is pissed and is in the mood to kill one of his own men for lying. The men are told to move the heavy object. They move it to a labyrinth, with the bonehead commanding another one of their captives to investigate the box. The girl musters a bravado to talk him down, only to be told that her bluff won't help her much. Boxo is able to comprehend that the two are not on the same side. The girl is told that the magic item bears intelligence, and is given 2 days to fix the machine or take the money out of it. The man reminds her that if she fails, she is going to experience severe pain in return. Left with a handful of notes, the girl reads that the machine before her is a sentient magic item. She tries to communicate with him, while Boxo wonders if she is some kind of mad scientist. He wants to pretend to be an ordinary piece of metal. Sensing his distraught, the girl states that she was kidnapped by the same people and locked away. She's actually a famous magic item engineer on her own. Boxo realizes that she is also one of the victims, and wonders if it is his fault that they kidnapped the girl. When he shows signs of communication, the girl gets excited and wants to ask him a couple of questions. Firstly, Hulami introduces herself, a name that Boxo is familiar with as he heard it from Lamis. Boxo realizes that she is the friend that Lamis spoke of, and the one considered the magic item engineer. Night comes by, while Hulami enjoys herself by drinking from his inventory. She claims to never have heard of a magic tool with the intelligence of a human. She does know about a special class of weapons called the wise weapons, which are capable of communication, but only with their wielder. Hulami shares that she has tried her best to imbue intelligence in a magic item, only to fail countless times. Hulami changed her thinking, and acknowledged that the wise weapons weren't just artificial items, but those imbued with actual human souls. She knows that people have sealed souls since the advent of time. For clarification's sake, she questions if Boxo is a literal human residing inside the magic item. Shocked by the question, Boxo acknowledges that someone has finally figured out his state, and confirms her suspicions. Hulami is glad to have cracked the theory, and goes on with a variety of questions. She also notes how no one ever refills him, yet he doesn't run out of items. She thinks that it is due to spatial magic, or some kind of dimensional storage. Hulami also accurately deduces that the high prices are somewhat important to Boxo, as they may be playing a special role in some regard. Her impressive deduction psyche is out Boxo. Hulami wonders if Boxo uses the money to purchase the items. Boxo happily confirms the claim. Boxo reflects that the points are for more than just restocking, as he needs to add numerous features and buy blessings to stay alive. Hulami wonders if Boxo has other means of making money. To prove the point, Boxo transforms into the candy machine and shows off his impressive feat. Hulami finds it incredible and realizes that money is being used not only to change shape, but also to change features. Boxo also offers her free candy for consistently nailing the mark. Boxo helps her out with a full meal, which appeals to her. Hulami finds the food savory, and thinks that the machine could run businesses with his inventory. She finds herself passed out, even though she devoured an energy drink just before. Boxo realizes that she's been exhausted throughout this time. He doesn't want to leave her alone, and keeps a watchful eye on the sleeping girl. His suspicions are proven right as a bunch of men enter the room.